For our daily cancellation today, we turn to New Jersey, a state that is always perpetually canceled simply for existing. But, the state's general crappiness and the fact that the whole place smells like a poorly maintained Burger King restroom is incidental for our discussion today. NewJersey.com has a story about a former public school teacher now suing the school that she says drove her to quit after shaming her for having emotional breakdowns in the classroom. A lot going on here. Let's start at the top. It says, a former teacher in the South Orange Maplewood School District has filed a lawsuit claiming that she was forced to resign after transfer to teach special education without an aide caused her to have crying spells in the classroom. Sarah Barlow, 34, of West Orange, said in court papers that she was teaching kindergarten at South Mountain Elementary School during the 2020-2021 school year when she was abruptly transferred to the district's annex school to teach a different class. Barlow was asked to teach a classroom that included special education students, yet she was not provided any special education teachers or paraprofessionals to assist her, according to the suit filed December 22nd. Prior to her transfer, Barlow had disagreements with school principal Kevin Mason over the handling of two troubled students, according to the suit. All right, well, so far it seems as though Miss Barlow has legitimate reasons to be frustrated. She was pulled out of her class, thrown into a more difficult situation without proper support or resources, assuming, of course, that her version of events is correct, and I have no reason to doubt that it is. After all, it all sounds haphazard, inefficient, self-defeating, which is exactly what we've come to expect from the public school system. And if this is where the story ended, then she would have my sympathy. But unfortunately, it keeps going, and my sympathy quickly evaporates. Continuing, this situation caused Miss Barlow a significant amount of emotional distress and exacerbated her anxiety, a condition she has suffered with since her teenage years, the suit states. On October 24th, Mason sent Barlow a letter admonishing her for exhibiting signs of anxiety and stress in the classroom. The suit said, Barlow alleges that her symptoms were caused by not having an aide and by Mason's alleged mistreatment. In this letter, Mason stated that Miss Barlow's crying spells were unprofessional and stated that a corrective action would be forthcoming. The lawsuit says that Barlow's therapist then placed her on a 6-week medical leave due to the stress and anxiety that she was experiencing at work. Okay, so she broke down in tears in front of her students multiple times and then took a 6-week vacation to work on her feelings. Sorry, it wasn't a vacation, it was medical leave, because in our insane culture, we use the same language to describe a woman taking a break from her work because she's anxious as we do to describe a woman taking a break from work because, she needs a heart transplant. But it gets better. Listen, it says, quote, unfortunately, due to the district's failure to address her complaints of unlawful behavior and complete disregard for her disability and mental health, Ms. Barlow was forced to resign from her position on November 1st, 2022, the suit states. The lawsuit says that Barlow's anxiety, which requires medical treatment, is a recognized disability under the New Jersey law against discrimination. In addition, administrators in the South Orange Maplewood School District failed to accommodate Barlow's disability, disciplined her for her symptoms, and failed to include her in the discussions about reasonable classroom accommodations, the suit says. Okay. So to use a phrase that I hate, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, I do hold men to a higher standard of stoicism than I hold women to. As men, we should be expected even more to bear difficulty and hardship without complaint. This capacity is one of the things that makes a man valuable to his family and his community. It's what makes a man a man. And it's why men who cannot carry their burdens with silent dignity are so incredibly useless and such a strain on everybody around them. And also really unappealing to women because it's the last thing that they want. Now, women are more expressive, more emotive, more empathetic by nature, which is why we have and should have greater tolerance for their emotional displays. But that tolerance only goes so far. Because whether you're a man or a woman, if you're in a position of leadership, especially if that leadership position involves caring for and educating children, you need to be able to handle stress and frustration and setback without making it everyone else's problem. Women have a greater compulsion to share their feelings with those around them, which is usually fine if they're sharing their feelings with their husbands or their friends or their family or a trusted confidant. But the children in your classroom are none of those things. Let's hope. They are not going to school in order to be sounding boards for your frustrations or to validate your feelings. Your responsibility is to provide them an education, one that is unburdened by your emotional baggage. If you can't do that or you won't do it, then you shouldn't be teaching. I mean, I don't care what you've been through in your life. I don't care how difficult your life is or has been. Sometimes in life, it is your responsibility to suppress your feelings, the feelings you have about those difficulties, and carry on like nothing is wrong. I know that's a shocking thing to hear these days, people hear. But yeah, there are plenty of times in life where no matter what you're going through, it is your responsibility to deal with it and shut up and do your job. It's what's expected of you. You know, the doctor who's performing brain surgery on you, he might be having a bad day also. But you'd be very concerned if he came into the room right before they put you under, sobbing and crying and complaining about his anxiety disorder. And that's because in his capacity as brain surgeon, you expect him to do his duty and to subordinate his feelings. Whatever he's going through, you expect him to just deal with it and get the job done like a professional. You would expect that of your heart surgeon, your brain surgeon, your airplane pilot, really anyone else who's performing a job that you need done. You would be annoyed if you ordered a pizza and it came to your house late. And the reason it came late is because the pizza delivery guy is having a really bad day and struggling with his feelings. That would annoy you. And it should. Because you're here to do a job, and your job is to bring me the pizza. And in that same way, we expect you to do your job as well. And again, if you can't do it, there's always the other option, which is to not. If you really can't, if you can't do the job, then don't do the job. Leave the job. If you're there, people expect you to do it. It's that simple. Second point, anxiety is not a disability. It is not a medical condition. No matter how often this claim is made, no matter what the psychiatrists say, no matter the billions of dollars the pharmaceutical companies are able to make off of it, anxiety is not a disease. It is rather just one of the tolls we all must pay for the privilege of being human. There is nothing strange or unique about the person who experiences anxiety. There would be something quite strange about the human being who did not experience it, but no such human exists or has ever existed. Of course, the medical industry will claim that what I'm talking about, when I say everyone experiences anxiety, what the medical industry says is that, well, that's just regular anxiety. That's average anxiety. That's anxiety in its normal amount. But when anxiety reaches beyond that threshold, that's when it magically becomes an illness, as medically valid as diabetes or Parkinson's or the flu. Well, who decides what qualifies as normal anxiety? Who determines where the threshold is? Who gets to declare what amount of anxiety we're supposed to have? Well, coincidentally enough, the people who have drugs to sell us, they get to decide. And they're the only ones who can decide, by the way. Indeed, if you as a human being dare to speak about anxiety, which is the most ubiquitous of all human experiences, and if you dare to speak about it as someone who is not selling anything, someone who doesn't stand to profit off of your position on the subject, that somehow makes you less reliable. The message is clear. When it comes to questions of supposed mental illnesses, the only trustworthy people are the people who are financially incentivized to come up with certain answers. This is all nonsense, of course. Questions about the nature of anxiety and what we should do with anxiety and how much anxiety a healthy person should experience, these are philosophical questions. These are spiritual questions. They're questions that defy simple medical analysis. Questions that cannot be reduced down to formulas or solved merely with prescription medication. And the problem is that the spiritual authorities, the priests and philosophers of our day, are the people who put the title doctor in front of their names. We have long since given them authority over not only strictly scientific and medical questions, but deeper questions about the very purpose and nature of the human person and about the meaning of life and how life is supposed to be lived and how people are supposed to feel and all of that. We've done this partly because we've been duped, and we do this partly because we prefer the fiction that these people are selling us. Because it lets us off the hook. It allows us to claim that we have no control over our emotions. We can't be blamed for how we behave. And now it even allows us to claim disability and take 6 weeks of medical leave because we're feeling stressed out. That's what Miss Sarah Barlow is up to, and it's why she is today finally canceled. And that'll do it for this portion of the show. As we move over to the members block, if you want to become a member, you can do that now by using code Walsh at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Hope to see you there. If not, talk to you tomorrow. Godspeed.